Hello and welcome to the video. This is a quick look at a different version of one of my favourite wings. Now, for those of you that have been watching the channel for a long time, you'll know that the AR Wing Pro is something that is close to my heart. I was actually involved in part of the development and I was fascinated to see this one listed. This is the white version. Yes, it's now available in white. Now, there are some differences between this white version and the black version. The main one being that this is a Eachine branded version of the wing, and Eachine have been doing this quite a lot recently. I looked at the Eachine version of the TX16S, and what Eachine don't seem to do is just take the product and bang their name on it. At the moment they seem to want to add their own flavour to whatever it is that they are reselling. So I've got this one in to kind of go through and unbox it, and let's actually see what's different. For those of you that don't know what the original AR wing looks like, I will put a link down below to my original review and maiden of it. There are more agile, there are faster wings about, but in terms of the sheer number of places that you can put your FPV kit and versatility, this is a wing that's hard to beat. I know not everyone is a fan, but I must admit I've spoken to many people who've tried one of these out and really liked it. One of the big things is the sheer amount of airflow that's in here and the thought that's gone into the camera placement. So whether you're using traditional analog FPV or there's actually a setup specifically designed for the DJI HD FPV stuff, you can kind of get it in here. And also the space inside is massive if you want to use lithium ion packs that will give you seriously long flight times. So let me jump onto the bench and show you how this one came unboxed and go through the differences between this Eachine version and the AR Wing Pro that you get from Sonic Model. So the first thing you notice when you get the box is actually different. The artwork on here is different from one of the originals. Now I have got the PNP and NX3 version. So this is the one that has the ESC, the motor, the prop, the servos and everything. And it also has an NX3 flight stabilizer in it as well. Not GPS capable sadly, but something that will help in terms of flying performance in anything but the calmest of days. Now when you open it up, the first thing you're presented with is the Eachine manual. Now this was the first point that I thought, hang on a minute, something is different here. Now there isn't really a manual as such with the Sonic Model version, and as I flick through I noticed that there is steps in here talking about installing the carbon spars and the servos into the wing. So there's a little bit more assembly required on this one than normal. Very colourful sticker sheets if that's your bag. The optional cover, which is just the air cover for if you're not using the DJI equipment. We have the carbon spars. Interestingly, as well as the main one for the wings, we have the carbon spars here that looks like they're the ones to support the elevons. And if I flip one of the wings over, yeah, there we have it. Okay, so this one doesn't come with all of those pieces installed. We have the prop as well. The prop is 8 by 5, and then we have our bag of bits. All the control rods and things are in there, and some nice ball joints too. We have the two noses, the winglets for the ends of the wings, and then we have the main event. This is the main body. Ooh, this feels quite heavy. I'm guessing things like the motor and stuff are in here. So let's look at that. So in here should be the motor, servos and the NX3 along with the ESC. So let's just have a quick look. It definitely feels like there's things in here. Let's open the main hatch. Yeah, there it all is. Fantastic. So this is a 40 amp ESC with a 3 amp BEC. Really good size for this kind of plane. Really nicely, they've also got the XT60 installed on here and bullet connectors to make the installation really easy and straightforward. Next thing out of here is the NX3. Again, this is optional flight stabilizer. This has 3 flight modes, a rate mode, hold mode for kind of attitude hold, and gyro off mode, and it has gain control either directly from the radio or via individual pots on the NX3. Now there's lots and lots of different versions of this around. Sadly no GPS capabilities on here like the co-pilot from Sonic Model, but this would make it more calm to fly in windier conditions if you wanted to do that. Next thing in the box is the motor. This is a 2216 1400 kV motor, again nicely fitted with the bullet connectors, so very easy to install and then plug into the ESC and set up. Everything else looks the same. The connectors in the wing are the same. Unfortunately, they kept the same 6-pin connectors out into the wing. That was the only thing when I was working with Sonic Model on the AR wing that I was disappointed that we didn't get. I really wanted 8-pin connectors out into the wing, so that would be 3 for the servo, and then the rest of the pins would be available to go out into the bay at the end for either CRSF or something else for one of the long-range radios. But on here it's the standard 6 pins. In terms of the bays and how it's all laid out, the model itself is very similar to the original black version. We have the main battery compartment that will take one of the long, thin lithium ion batteries for a really long flight time. You have the optional top, which is there so that if you don't want to use the DJI system, you can fit it in. Tend to find that these boxes get squashed in transit, and this one obviously has this hatch. It'll just need a little bit of bending to make sure it's a nice easy fit. So you've got those 2 tops that you can choose from, either for DJI or for regular FPV. At the back we have the huge area for the ESC, and we have the dedicated location for a GPS as well, which should be far enough away from everything else. Loads and loads of room inside, and cuts to take the controls from the main bay where you're going to put your flight controller into the rear bay. Side bays for your VTXs, receivers, whatever you want, and tons of room at the front for the 2 different types of cameras. You can have your normal kind of GoPro style camera here in the nose, and the small area for an analog camera as well. So you can have it as an analog setup with a GoPro, or you can have it with a DJI setup or whatever. A couple of different noses to go into that slot depending on what you're doing. This second one is the one that I use here because I fly my AR wings with the HD system. So there you have it. That is the overview of the Eachine version of the AR Wing Pro, a little bit different from its Sonic Model brother. Big differences, of course, are the fact that these pieces are not installed, so the carbon reinforcement and the control surfaces, the servos are installed, the motor is installed in the motor support. But that, for some pilots, is going to be really a good idea, because if you have specific servos you want to use, or a specific model motor setup or whatever, then you can just build it exactly the way you want. But it does mean that there is a little bit more involved in getting this into the air than for the black version. In terms of the rest of the model, it's pretty much exactly the same. All the hatches and all of the axes are identical, so you could interchange the parts between the white and the black version. Well, for me, I'm probably going to build this out and put iNav in it. The NX3 stabilizer is an interesting choice from Eachine. There's lots of stabilizers around. That is one that doesn't have GPS capability, and it's a bit of a shame, I would suggest, to not put something with the GPS stuff in here, so you have things like the return to home feature and those kind of pieces, because this was kind of designed for those kind of use cases. So personally, I would probably not go for the NX3 one. I'd probably go for the PNP or the kit and stick iNav in it, because it is such a great ship when you put a little flight controller and iNav in. Links down below if you want to go and have a look at those original videos for the AR Wing Pro, the black version from Sonic Model that I got originally, and also links below if you want to go and have a look at the difference between the original black Sonic Model version and this Eachine white version on Banggood as well. But I'm fascinated to see what Eachine rebrand next and what little tweaks they add to whatever that is. Thank you for spending your time today watching that video. You can find me in all the usual places on social media, and if you're trying to learn about a subject, then check out the playlist. All of my videos are organised into easy to follow playlists that, if you're trying to learn a topic, will take you from the basics right the way through to some pretty advanced stuff.